I'm Innocent here and welcome to my Facebook page and YouTube channel. Today's video is about introducing one of the esteemed guests that I've got, Mr. Hammond from Australia. And I'm lucky to have been working with him at NTU Singapore during my PhD research, and I'm going to talk to him. But first of all, I would like to introduce him. So Dr. Hammond has got a PhD in engineering from NTU Singapore. There are two famous universities. One is NUS, another one is NTU. He has got PhD in engineering from NTU. He has got masters in nanotechnology and bachelors in technology from IIT. You might have heard about IITs. They are like one of the top institutes in India, and he is a graduate from those IITs. He is also a researcher at the Australian National University called ANU, and his research is based on solar photovoltaics, third generation perovskite solar cells, and green hydrogen. And then he is also a freelancing analyst with experience in federal government agencies like Department of Employment and Workplace Relations and Department of Education, Skills and Employment and Australian Renewable Energy Agency. He has also published a book. He is an author of a book as well, and he at ARENA, which is basically Australian Renewable Energy Agency. He has designed a classification matrix for renewable energy technologies contributing to the low emission technology statement. And my introduction is very small introduction because he has achieved so much in the life so far. And thank you so much, Hammond, for actually coming into my YouTube channel. How are you? How is the day?
Hi Amir, it's a pleasure meeting you again, and thanks for inviting me to your channel and your podcast. It's always been a pleasure meeting you. I still recall the time I met you in Singapore. You are like one enthusiastic and passionate guy about science, and you worked on the second generation solar cells, especially the chalcogenide solar cells, which are like solution processed. And in the lab, when you came at the university, we had this vibe, and we always admired your kind of excellence and brilliance which you got. You set up the lab pretty well, especially your project, which was the design and optimization of copper, aluminum, gallium, sulfoselenide solar cells, the absorber materials, and optimizing it in a way that could probably have some commercial prospects as well. So I always had this question, Amir, like what motivated you to come and visit Prof. Lydia's lab, and of course Prof. Subodh and Ripan's lab at that point of time. Like, how did you know about that there was a lab which had like excellent facilities and so on?
Well, basically in Pakistan, I was working as a PhD candidate, one of the PhD candidates in one of the most prestigious universities in Pakistan. Just like you have got IITs in India, in Islamabad we've got NUST, National University of Sciences and Technology. So I was a master's student, and then I got admission in PhD. So our professors got grant from Higher Education Commission of Pakistan, which was basically based on solar cells, and I was the person who is basically doing PhD on that project, so that we can actually produce a workable solar cell device. The problem within Pakistan, like the lab facilities were not good enough in the university, especially related to solar cells. And then HEC also sponsors some of the candidates so that they can look for abroad different institutes where they can actually find proper lab related to their project. So I was searching different professors, and I was emailing them as well. Sometimes the professors are so busy. Also, if you don't have enough publications, they sometimes don't respond to a person, right? So I was lucky enough that Lydia actually responded to my emails, and I was looking at the group, and it was closely related to my research. The problem I had, thank you for the nice introduction as well. You have seen me working in the labs days and nights, but the problem I had was the HSC only funded me for like 6 months. So which means that I have to complete each and everything from the processing to the complete fabrication of the device in within time span of, let's say, 6 to 7 months, right? So this is my last chance actually when I moved to the Singapore for that research, and then I met you. The whole team at that lab was amazing. You guys literally, most of you I've seen in that lab are from India, were from India at that time. and I think I was the only Pakistani, and my name was Muhammad Amir. My tag was over there, and funny thing, like at that time, about Muhammad Amir, cricketer as well, like he has
Oh
got
yeah,
some
yes.
fixing issues, so they call me. Some of them call me Muhammad Amir Fixer, just like to have fun basically. And at that time in 2015, we had Cricket World Cup as well. So there are loads of memories to share and cherish. And like we are now having this conversation, maybe around like after 10 years time. You moved to Australia in that time, and I moved to the UK. We have got different journeys, but remember, I know when I moved to the Singapore and that the lab, all of you are working, and literally like you guys inspired me because. I've seen the work that you were doing in the lab, how you're conducting the research, how you're writing the paper. So I was feeling nervous as well, how to meet the expectations of Prof. Lydia as well. So, but it was a great time. Yeah. So my question from you would be, when you moved to when you came to the Singapore and then why you left Singapore? Was there any specific reason? Because I think Singapore is one of the great countries.
Yeah, I mean, I still have fond memories of Singapore. I mean, I always loved traveling. So Singapore, when I went to Singapore, I had the opportunity to, of course, conduct PhD and do like research in material science and renewable energy. But at the same time, I had the chance to travel around. I like knowing about history. I like knowing about people. I like knowing about the culture of different people and the land. So I visited Cambodia, I visited Malaysia, I visited Thailand, I visited not Vietnam, I visited one of the Indonesia, Bali. So I was
Yeah.
quite fascinated. And in 2015, I visited New Zealand as a tour with my partner, with my wife. You know my wife, right? So
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
we
yeah.
visited New Zealand, and I was in Australia, and for a brief time I was in Sydney, met a friend, and I went, this is a nice place. And the opportunity came like in 2015, I think November or December. I was looking up on Google or something. There was an opportunity related to perovskite solar cells. I applied for a job there, and here I am, like at NU, doing the research, cutting edge research in silicon and tandem solar cells, which I think is very interesting. Silicon is a first generation solar cell, and perovskite is an upcoming solar cell. So marrying these two, like the first generation and the third generation, and get the maximum out of it is something which I thought is quite interesting. And I was quite lucky to have worked with Klaus Weber. He's a professor here at ANU, and he gave me the liberty and the freedom to conduct independent research. So I could do my own research on cathodoluminescence. So we know, like solar cell, basically we have light, which is optical light,
Yeah.
and we generate electricity. So instead of having this optical excitation, what I did was electronic excitation, like a beam of electrons in vacuum, kind of cathodoluminescence. You know how tube lights work,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
electron goes and hits like in a gas, and then we get this luminescence. So something like that. I had like material, and I had this electron hitting on it and capturing the light which comes out of it, which is quite interesting because we know in perovskite, especially halide based perovskites, the ionic moments are something which we have to study to ensure
Yeah.
there is stability over a period of time. Reliability becomes very important, right? We have a solar cell.
Yeah.
If we want to get it on rooftop, then obviously we're looking at longevity. I mean, we have the efficiency, but we need longevity and the stability. So to do
Yeah.
this, I did some fundamental research, which I'm grateful of. And luckily, I had collaborators not only from Canberra but from Sydney and overseas as well. Wrote a book on perovskite solar cells, which is a
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, it is amazing, and also it inspires me, because I've seen your papers when I was at Singapore as well. The research group, I've seen your wife working there as well. So it is like quite a good balance. Your wife and you are working in the same lab, doing professional work, and also like working together as a couple. So it feels very nice, to be honest, right? You both are like PhDs, and now uh, going to the labs together, and it actually, it's a very good thing because, all those couples who are actually in the same profession becomes very easy to understand. For example, if someone's wife is not into, for example, these research, she will never understand how much hardship and how much effort you need to put in to actually make a device work, how to
Yes.
improve the efficiency and all those things. But because you guys like in the same field, you can discuss the problems with each other, and then you can actually come up with a solution as a team. It was a great thing.
Yeah,
So,
very
anyways, coming, I've got like
lucky.
very good memories in Singapore. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I remember like we both commuted together, and I know like you are fond of taking videos and photos as well. And I asked you this question, like, hey, Amir, what are you doing with these videos? Then you told me, have to send it back to my wife in Pakistan, and you told me
Yeah.
that at that point of time you already had like a small kid, right? Like in
Yes.
2015 or
He
maybe.
was like he was 3 years at that time. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
told me I have a kid as well. I said, wow, this is really amazing. Yeah, of course, you can send that. And I think to me, Singapore was a very interesting cultural experience as well. Coming out of India, I mean, of course, I was in Europe before for a couple of years,
Yeah.
but Singapore itself was for me a very nice experience culturally to be in a place where everything's available. It looks like a global village actually.
Yes.
You
And
don't.
if you look at the history, like within 40, 50 years, they've developed immensely. And
Hmm.
it is actually, if you look at the history, like countries like Pakistan, for example, where like, you can overcome poverty, you can, overcome different challenges if you are in the right direction. Just look at, for me, when I came to the Singapore, like the saddest thing was the death of Lee Kuan Yew, and he died actually, and so many people were outside. The whole country was actually, praising that person who actually transformed Singapore from, there was so much different slums, and the area was so much underdeveloped, and the Malaysia actually get rid of Singapore, and they said that we don't want it. But then after that, Singapore, never looked back, and they are actually progressing leaps and bounds basically.
Yeah,
So, and I
small.
also saw your video, like, Ahmed, we both have seen those snakes, right? And then your video went into like 8 million views from your channel. I still have got those pictures and videos, but I never posted it. But when I see those videos, like you posted it on, it becomes viral. So, can you tell me about those snakes? Have you, what happened actually? Because,
This is a bit hilarious. Like I was in the lab, I was doing some work, and somebody calls out. There are a couple of snakes on the street. It's like really. I mean, of course, Singapore is a tropical country,
yeah,
very rich in vegetation and so on. So obviously, reptiles we can see. But I mean, I heard like there have been stories and videos before I posted like there were reptiles and kind of snakes which were found in the hostels within Singapore, within the campus as well. So I quickly came down and obviously took a video of it. This was like a python and a cobra like entangled with each
yeah,
other. I don't know what they were doing. So I took a video very silently because I was very curious, and there were like so many bystanders, and of course the rescue
yeah,
rangers came after some time. You'll see in that video right at the end, they were rescue rangers, probably from the zoo or from wildlife rescue kind of company. They came and they took it away. So I was quite fascinated just to see what are they doing and what's happening. So my main purpose was to record to see what's happening there. And then
I
I
see.
came back to my workplace, and then there was somebody, I can't recall who it was. Hey, in Singapore we have something called a Storm Singapore, something kind of a website. It's kind of a streaming platform itself, like where people post and so on. I posted it, and I
Yeah.
posted it there. Somebody like it caught a lot of media attention, and you'll be surprised. Somebody from BBC actually emailed me saying, like,
Oh, I
what,
see.
your video is really going viral. We're gonna take a copyright of you. Really? Then somebody came behind me and said, just post it on YouTube, and then the BBC will take care of it. So I had my YouTube channel because I play music a little bit, so I had like a small video with my school, with my friends at school and so on. So, and I never post. I mean, generally I don't post on YouTube. That was the only time I posted. And oh my god, like the kind of reactions and the kind of like subscribers I got was overwhelming. And I'm
Yeah,
thankful to all of them, not only from Singapore, from Africa, from Asia,
yeah,
from Australia, from New Zealand. We had like viewers from all over the world. In a
yeah,
matter of 24 hours it went viral. Like
yeah, yeah,
I've
yeah.
never seen
Like I
something
think
like
7 to 8 million views in that
yeah,
video. Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. No.
you and it was ticking. It was like ticking like a time bomb over the next few weeks. Like
Yeah.
around in 1 month or so, people started calling me like, your video is like great, and I was like, what was not my video? I just made a video because like there was video of somebody else. I mean, it was video. I mean, I shot that video, but it was not. It was two snakes like which were really wild in there. So
Yeah,
it
true.
was amazing,
And
and
was scary as well, like you're considering Singapore a very safe country, and suddenly you see two snakes and very venomous snake on the road, and obviously, any bad thing could have also happen, but luckily they were like very good in actually taking care of those snakes, and then they okay. So how do you compare your life in Australia and in Singapore? Like, is it quite a big shock, or you like to go back to Singapore, or it's better in Australia?
I mean, the lifestyle obviously is different in Australia. I feel like my personal experiences, I have a lot of independence here. Obviously, I'm in a different career path now. Like in at NTU or in Singapore, like 3 to 4 years, I was kind of doing my PhD. That also
Yeah.
is an individual kind of goal. But then you have a supervisor and a mentor, and there are obviously milestones which
Yes.
we have to deliver, and we have our own project. So obviously I was more inclined. I mean, I always set my own goals irrespective of who my supervisor is, and lucky to have Dripan, Subodh and Gemini as my supervisors, who always encouraged me to do what I wanted to do, and within like the goals of the project, like whatever the project was. And Subodh is always the kind of guy. He's an innovative engineer. He wants things to be done, but probably in a different way. He'll always
Yeah,
come
I
with
also like thanks to both, and Rajiv and like all those people,
oh yes.
Sudhanshu, like there's so many people like I met, and I always cherish those memories because of the fact that we have a very good bond. We used to go together outside, used to play cricket, football, and every those kind of
Football,
sports.
yeah, cricket, football. I remember like you and I, Rajiv, and who's the other guy? I think Vignesh, and
Yeah, Vignesh as well.
Sudhanshu. I think joined once or twice. I mean,
Yeah,
Anurag. Do you remember Anurag?
yeah. I remember him as well.
Anurag
Yeah,
and yeah. These. I mean, Guru Dayal, Guru Bhai, like Guru Bhai. How can
yeah. It was a nice small for me, like it was the first time I was interacting with people from India, and the love that we share with each other, that is very important. Politics keeps politics aside, but we want to meet each other and go to like places, but maybe in future, if something can happen, like India Pakistan matches happening in India or Pakistan, like it's a big thing, so hopefully like if the politics gets sorted, we can get things done easier. Like you talk about India Australia match, you talk about Asians, but think about if you've got 5 test matches, India versus Pakistan after every 2 years, home and away. I think it was one of the biggest ever series that could happen.
Yeah.
And let's see. We might see in our lifetime, but maybe let's see what happens next.
Yeah,
Because
cricket, I think cricket subcontinent, not only India, Pakistan, like I think Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, even like Australia, England matches, like I think very kind of heritage things which come across, which
yeah,
are
yeah,
so, I mean, everybody in Australia like literally goes to like the ground and watches the game. So today, as you know,
yes.
Sydney Test is gonna start.
Sydney Test is going to start. Yeah, I know. So finger crossed. I think India could have drawn that last match, but one big wicket, and then this is what can happen. And then Pakistan lost to South Africa. I could not imagine how we lost that match. Like we got again, this is about captaincy. We could not get the game finished, and this is what is happening in Pakistan. We get a good start sometimes, and then we could not capitalize on that. But anyways, we will have a separate video on the topic of cricket.
Yes, yes.
So so basically you are still in that field of perovskite, but I have changed my field. I was a researcher, I was doing PhD, I've got published publications, but then for me teaching was more important because I started teaching in 2006. I was teaching tuitions even in Singapore. I had especially when I used to sputter molybdenum on the glass slides,
Yeah,
because it is a 2 to 3 or like 4 hour process. I used to go and teach tuitions in Singapore and then come back because of the fact that I was the bread and winner for my family. I have to
Yep.
see my expenses in Singapore, also send money back to Pakistan as well.
Yep.
So I was looking for some work there as well, and teaching was my passion. So that is the reason why I discontinued research. After my PhD, I never looked for those research reports I published.
Yeah.
And you are aware that I'm working as, in London, one of the schools in the UK, and I'm now working as head of physics. So have you ever thought of becoming a teacher or maybe a professor
So
in one of the universities in the UK, or you just want to be a researcher?
academics. So I mean that's a very very good question. Like I mean it's not only for us but all the academics and the teachers who probably would watch this video. In the academic field, we generally have three things which we need to be good at. I mean one is like research, which is
Yeah,
which some universities consider 80% of it should be research, and
yeah,
probably 10% teaching, and probably 5% of administrative work. So research, teaching, and administrative work are probably the three metrics which many universities use when we kind of assess like academic promotions or so on.
yeah.
So in research, obviously, it's very kind of subjective, right? Sometimes the field of work which you do can become very mundane or kind of old. Like suppose perovskite solar, it's a new topic. Nobody has worked on the third generation
Yeah.
solar. If I start something like silicon, there probably would have been like there would be many people who already worked on silicon technology.
Yeah.
So I mean obviously as you said it depends on people to people, like you're more oriented towards teaching. Even I like teaching and I have taught some courses as well at ANU during
Oh,
COVID time. So the idea
that's
was
great.
yeah, the idea was to have like in-person lessons for the photovoltaic technologies, but due to COVID and all, we had to restructure the course, redesign the course to make sure like most of these courses are delivered online. So
Yeah.
I do have experience in actually delivering online courses as well and in-person courses. I had many guest lectures, so I did teaching at ANU, like the Australian National University in Canberra. I did some guest lectures here, and of course, I did lots of PowerPoint presentations and so on. I did some guest lectures in the United States and some in Italy as well. So done some of teaching assignments here and there, like in Australia and also abroad. So very lucky and fortunate enough to do that.
Oh, I see. Yeah, so that's great. Any plans to leave Australia or coming to another country, or you just now settled over there? How is your son, and how is your son growing up in the very different system compared to Singapore or like any other part
Yeah, so
in India?
my
So
son was
yeah.
born here in Australia, and I'm like really happy. I'm very happy living in Australia, Canberra. Canberra, I feel. I mean, I love running. As you know, I love running. I
Yeah,
run.
I know. I've seen you in marathons, like on Instagram, or you're like I've seen your so many videos, and it also inspires me as well. Like because for me, I don't really do exercise. I saw your video, like you were doing skipping ropes, yeah, and so it
Yeah,
was I think it was a challenge of 100, right? Maybe we're just
100.
doing
Yeah,
that, and then I've seen your videos for marathon. Yeah, skydiving as well. I've seen one of your videos on the skydiving
thank
and
you.
all that. Yeah,
I have a lot of followers. Thank you.
and also like you've got you also be an umpire, like you also do umpiring as well for the full day match. I play cricket in the UK
Nice.
because it is very easy compared to Pakistan, like because when you are a proper professional or teaching in an institute, for example, like me, it becomes very difficult to play cricket like countries like in Pakistan, but here the facilities are much easier. You can join the club, you can play on Saturdays and Sundays. They actually welcome you, even though my game is very bad, but still I enjoy the sport. And then you can literally talk about how the game is being played when you're on the pitch 22 yards. You can see what is actually happening, and then you can think about when we say the batsman should have gotten like should have hit a six, for example, or should not have gotten out. But when you see the actual reality, it's one of the toughest games. It's not easy. The bowling, the batting, there's so many techniques, so many things involved, and when you become a part of it, can you share some of the experiences like of umpiring, how it started, and you also
Okay.
play in Australia?
So when I moved to Australia back in 2016, I started playing grade cricket. So this was on real turf and so on. So I really enjoyed playing cricket at that point of time. And because we were playing grade cricket and we didn't had umpires, so I umpired many times at grade cricket. So
I
while I
see.
was like, so if I'm in the batting team, obviously the two batters, the two batsmen will
Yeah,
be on the field, and if I was like the one down, then I was generally playing number three in my team,
I see.
and we went up to the semi-finals actually. So at that point
Oh,
of time, I had this opportunity to do umpiring. So I was the main umpire as well as the square leg umpire.
oh, I see.
Of course, in 2018-19, I stopped playing cricket because I was playing other sports. I started badminton, I was running, I had too
Yeah,
many things to do, so I couldn't like dedicate
yeah.
like almost 6-7 hours
For a full
a
day, 90,
full
90
day.
overs a match, it's too much.
It's like starts at 12 o'clock here because the days are longer here in southern hemisphere in Canberra. So
Yeah,
until 8 o'clock we have light. 8:15 in the evening we have light here, sunlight. So we
I
start
see.
a bit late, like 12 o'clock is when we start. It depends. Some games start a bit early at 10 o'clock, some at 12. So we started at 12 o'clock. So my umpiring experience has been really really awesome and excellent. I'm thankful to the Canberra City and Suburban Cricket Association. So someone like the Damian, who's like the chair of the umpiring committee, he called me and said, there's an opportunity to be an umpire at Vitanga, which is a place very close to where I live. So my first opportunity was Sultans, which is one of the teams from Pakistan.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah, no. Yeah, yeah.
and there was Ceylon guys, like the guys from Sri Lanka. So this was totally subcontinent.
True.
It was really nice. I met 11 guys. They're really, really nice guys. So one guy really looked like Wasim Akram. He was bowling left. I
Oh,
told him he looked like Wasim Akram. He said, "Yeah, he's my role model." He told me. So yeah, so we played. I played like an umpire. That was my first game. I still have fond memories of that because it didn't last till 90 overs. It ended in like 37 overs or so on, like the second innings. The Ceylons obviously lost the wickets chasing,
I
and
see. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
what I felt is like initially, like the first like the 3 or 4 matches where I was the umpire, the team batting first was winning.
I see.
Obviously, because this is great cricket, not everybody does that fitness training and so on.
Yeah, yeah.
So probably the team batting, the team,
Because they are tired, like when you're fielding for like 40, 50 overs,
yeah,
it is easy as a viewer to say like the batsman got out, but you have to think about that person. We fielded for 50 overs in the heat, and then when they have to bat, your body is already cramped up, and then you have to play for your country, and then we keep abusing those, our cricketers when they lose match. We don't realize how tough this sport is. Like if
yes,
you're mentally tired, if there's something happening in your head, you can't play the sport. You can nick it, you can get LBW, you can get bored because something else is going in your head. And then we have got so much expectation, especially like India and Pakistan, like subcontinent. We always believe cricket is like the main sport, and we always like get frustrated. But in countries like UK, like in the UK, I'm not able to find students who actually play cricket because they play soccer or they play rugby, for example. They're not fond of playing cricket, right? Because this is not their main sport. So
mm,
they are not crazy about it. If the team is winning, that is fine. If the team is not winning, that is also fine. They don't
yeah.
really care about it. But we get so much disappointed with our teams when they lose, basically.
I mean,
It's
now,
good and bad, both of the things, yeah.
yeah. I used to be like that. Like at one point of time, probably when I was teenager, I was so passionate about cricket, and at that point of time, I think IPL and BPL or PSL or BBL, all these smaller
Yeah.
leagues didn't come up. So I think the time when we grew up, or the kind of broadcast which we had probably in Pakistan and India, we were quite passionate about cricket, but that was the only game I think which brought
Only
us.
sport. Yeah,
I
true.
mean, I still recall Wasim Akram and Wasim Akram and Wakar Yunis bowling those, the test matches where they get this late swing.
Yeah.
The late swing, what is it called? Reverse swing, I think. Reverse swing, yeah. So obviously we are very
But
passionate.
there was a like very big competition, the Sachin, Sehwag, Lakshman, for example,
Oh yeah,
Dravid, and I know like once time like the Shoaib Akhtar was bowling with so much pace and intensity, but the Dravid was keep blocking it, and then obviously like this is what was proper sport. Like it was a clash between India and Pakistan on the cricket field, and obviously you can enjoy the game. But now unfortunately we don't see those test matches because I always love to see those big test matches, and we've got big
yeah.
players, and obviously when you get that intensity you get good players as well.
The game has evolved, right? Like the game has
Yeah,
evolved, the audience have evolved, the kind of people who watch the game probably prefer T20 more
yeah,
or the
true.
ODI formats more than the test matches, which are like very traditional. Still now there is love. It's not like people don't love watching test matches. We love watching test matches. We love like gritty matches, like it go down till day five, like the recent.
Till day five, last overs, the last like few,
There's
last 10 overs, yeah, until that, and
these
you
are all
still don't
classic.
know which team is going to win or lose. Yeah, this is the beauty of Test cricket, is and it actually tests your patience as well.
Sachin, Sehwag, Rahul Dravid, and VVS Lakshman are one of my favorite batsmen. Like if you consider of that era and now, because there are so many batters who are.
And if you see these days, we don't have the quality of those players because at that time, we have got Tendulkar, we've got Lakshman or Dravid. We've got on the other hand, we've got Shane Warne, Muralidharan bowling. We've got Wasim Akram Mukawinas. We've got McGrath. So like we've got very good bowler and very good batsman. But now you can see that balance is not changed. We don't see those kind of batsmen or bowlers because I even one likes to play like shorter format and after like hitting is everything now. Like they just gauge you how massive hits sixes you can hit basically.
Yeah,
So
you're right.
the game has actually changed a lot.
You're right. But like even during those times, like if you see Adam
Yeah,
Gilchrist,
yeah.
if you Hayden,
He was, oh my god, yeah, I know. He
prominent.
completely changed the game. Yeah,
Yeah, they had like hundreds run partnership probably every 3 games. At least
yeah,
if they play 3 test matches, there'll be at least one like 100 run partnership, and they two at a very brisk pace. Like
very
if
big fair. Yeah,
you
true.
have like maybe 5 runs over in 20 overs, you see the scoreboard, it's already 100 or
Yeah,
102. So
yeah,
Gilchrist, I think even Sanath Jayasuriya revolutionized the one-day format, like in the 1996 World Cup, where Palvitarna and Sanath Jayasuriya played like the knocks, which like eventually culminated into the World Cup victory. They both are
yeah,
very, of course, Muralitharan, world class spinner. We don't have to talk about him and say. He himself, like he can say, he can bowl, he can do. Of course, Shane Warne also is one of my favorite leggy. And out
yeah,
of those, Marco was one of my favorite players, like of those times.
yeah.
Like he used to play.
Two brothers, Mark brothers, Steve and Mark are both of them together. But anyways, so I think we can end our call at this point. We have got loads of memories because the purpose of this call was to actually have that discussion, like your journey as a scientist in Singapore and now in Australia, and especially to my viewers. If you have got a PhD degree or if you are doing a research, for example, if you want to, you can actually get inspiration from Dr. Hammonds because of the amount of research work he has done. He started his journey and then he is now currently in the Australia. Or if you want to be a teacher, for example, like me, my journey started in Pakistan and I'm working in London now. So this video can give you an inspiration that whether you want to be a researcher or whether you want to be a teacher, it's totally up to you where you want to go and where you want to teach. It's totally about you, totally about your commitment. If you are committed, you can go anywhere in the world. The doors are open, but you have to find your path, your own path, which way and which path actually suits you. So if you have got any questions, you can ask me, or otherwise we can quickly wrap up this video. Do you have any questions from me?
So of course, I had like a question for you. Like obviously, from Pakistan, obviously you told you moved to Singapore because to conduct research and gain experience, and you were doing PhD at that point of time. So what motivated you to leave Pakistan and go to like UK, like London?
So Pakistan, if you look at as a teaching profession, there are different pathways. Either you can be a teacher in the university, which was very easy for me because I've got a PhD degree. I could literally go to any university and I could teach. I've got publications as well. But for me, I was more interested in teaching O levels and A level stream because in the university level, I've seen that because every university is different, their syllabus is different, courses designed differently. So and again, you are as a person, as a teacher, you set the whole exam basically. But if you look at Cambridge and other exam papers, you teach the students and then the students are tested internationally. They get an exam from third party basically. Like they get examination from Cambridge, and then if you have taught well, then the student can actually pass those exams. It is not, you're not making the whole exam basically.
Yes.
So I was actually to that profession, like teaching since 2006, where I was teaching mainly O levels and A levels, and it was very close to my heart compared to teaching in a university setting. And then the in O levels and A levels only happening in the private schools in Pakistan, and the job is quite uncertain. You could be earning very good money one day, and suddenly you can be scrapped in the next day if there is some better person, or because of some XYZ reasons. There was no job security. So I thought then I should go to another place, another country, where I should be able to teach O levels and A levels, but with much better job security. So in the state schools in the UK, all of them do O levels and A levels, and there are different exam boards, obviously. But before you start teaching in the school, you have to do a course called PGCE with QTS. And my channel, you might have seen, but most of my viewers have seen that what is this course about and how this course is done, what are the requirements, and how to enroll this course. There are some scholarships and bursaries that the UK government actually gives to actually pursue this course, so that they can hire proper professional teachers. So I did this course from one of the best universities in the world, called like University College London. Its IOE department is number 1 in the world, better than Harvard or even MIT. So basically, the education department is number 1 in the world. So I got a chance to get PGC from UCL, and then I ended up starting teaching in a school in London. So this is how my journey actually started as a teacher in the UK.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have set the example for many teachers, and obviously you're an inspiration, like what journey you took. Obviously, there'll be many different ways of doing it, but thanks for sharing, like how you reach your goal of teaching at UK in London in one of these primary. Is it a primary school or a secondary school?
No, so in the UK there are 2 types of schools. One is primary and one is secondary. So secondary school goes from year 7 to year 13. Year 13 is college. But in Australia, there's a primary school, then the middle school, and then there's a secondary school.
No,
I
it's
believe so.
It's the same public school. So they're public schools, private schools. So in public school, it's primary and then the high school. Like, it's the same, primary to
Yeah. So I'm teaching physics. I'm head of physics in my school in my school.
Yeah, of course.
And as part of head of physics, I took my students to CERN as well. Like the biggest physics lab in the world is CERN, where they actually collide particles to think about how the Big Bang happened and all those kind of stuff. So I took one trip in April, I took one trip in this November. I'm taking another trip to Morgan Motors, a manufacturing facility of how the cars are being manufactured. I'm going to take this trip on, in 2 weeks' time from now. So when I came to the UK and I started this job, it actually opens different doors for me. Like I'm also doing cricket club here in this school. So I have applied for the funding, and I'm now actually trying to motivate kids to actually join the club, because here it's very difficult to get kids playing cricket, because they would like to play rugby or like soccer, but they don't want to play cricket, right? So you have to motivate them to actually take the sport. So that is another challenge that I'm taking. So I'm also doing robotics as well. We hosted one of the events of robotics in our school, and there are 2 more events that are going to happen on 25th and the next.
Yeah. So I have like done some outreach activities at school, especially secondary school. Primary to year 6, I think introducing science and engineering, basic maths, English, and probably basic sciences is okay. But here at one of the schools, I demonstrated dye-sensitized solar cells as well.
Oh, in the school level. That's great.
School level.
So the students can get motivation about it. And also, like when I teach my students, I also show them some publications, like with Prof. Lydia and with Dr. Sabuth and all those people. Like they get inspired as well. Like it's up to you which profession you want to take. As a teacher, if you have done some publications, if you've done some research, the students get motivated because they get inspired basically, and they also want to become a researcher and see how the things actually work. And research is a key thing. Without research, you can't do anything basically. All the innovation that we see today is because of the research that has been done. Otherwise, if there's no research, we can't get the devices that we use today, or the kind of technology that we use today is not possible without research. So I conclude here at this point. If you've got any questions, any comment to make, otherwise you can just wind up, because
I mean, thank you, Amir. You've been phenomenal over the past few minutes. Thank you for asking questions and listening to me. And of course, we reciprocate our love and the passion towards science and what we do. I mean, we both love cricket. We both love science. I think that's what brought us together in Singapore. Though we are physically separated, I think we're still connected.
Yeah, that is the main thing. Like after 10 years, we still like talking as friends. And
Yes.
thank you for accepting my invite as well. We just had a quick chat, and then thank you so much for accepting and coming on my YouTube channel, because your discussion, your comments, and what you do basically would be inspiration to many other people who are actually watching this video. And thank you so much for coming to my YouTube channel. So I think we can end at this point. So viewers, if you've got any questions, please write in the comment section. I will also be going to share Dr. Hammond's YouTube channel in the comment section or on my YouTube, so that if you would like to see any of his videos, especially that snake video, you want to see like what happened, that you can have a chance to actually watch it. If you've got any questions, please post it, and I'm definitely going to answer those questions. So this is it from me today. I'm signing off. Thank you so much. Bye.